scene. You know she gonna burn down everything. She an arsonist in her pastime.
My journey to mastery started in middle school. I loved art and I loved to code, but I just never knew these two things could go together. But we'll get to that later. So let's flash back to 2009, which is when I first stepped foot on a college campus. If you'll remember, Barack Obama was early in his presidency and Twilight Mania was taking over the nation. But as for me, it was the start of my career in law and politics. My major at the time was international relations with a focus on women's rights. But after interning with the Michigan Senate and tutoring students, I found that I didn't actually like the practice of politics and law bored me nearly to death. Summer of 2011, I went back to my roots. I spent the summer rebuilding myself and finding what gave me my light. So I returned to the things that I loved so much when I was a child, from skateboarding to punk rock to art. It was building those skateboards that made me think about the art that had always given me so much inspiration. I wondered, who made this art? Where did it come from? And how do I get involved? I hear by returning to my origins, as Green puts it in his book Mastery. I just thought I was rediscovering what I loved, and it served me really well. I've had a lot of success for being 28, but of course, I have a very long way to go. The second strategy that Green talks about is your niche. Well, I was able to take art and technology and mold them together into the perfect niche for me. I'm a web developer that can design, or I'm a designer that can develop, depending on the project. And honestly, I love every minute of it. So I started researching what my college had to offer. I found that there was one seat available in Graphic Design 101 in the fall, and I claimed it. Flash forward to 4 years later. This is me, working as a graphic designer and a web developer at a media company in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I got to spend my days building websites, designing ads, and coding emails. It was my first job, but I knew that this industry was for me. I was also living in one of the most expensive cities in the United States, though, and I had acquired nearly $100,000 in student loans. I wanted to get married and start my life, so I moved to a new job where the benefits were great, the pay made my life extremely comfortable, and the year-end bonuses were lifesavers. But there was a problem. The fact of the matter is that this company just wasn't for me. I found it to be boring, my coworkers were rude, the culture was extremely toxic, and the lack of diversity made me fully miserable. I decided if my career took me here, it was time to go back to school. So I did. My boss, he was not happy that I was going to further my education, so after 3 years of breaking my back, daily panic attacks, and unending dedication to growing their brand, I was let go. Part of my story goes along with Green's third strategy, which is avoiding the false path. My second job, I really hated it. I tried to follow the false path, but I was really so miserable. Everyone kept telling me, you have a great job and you should be grateful, but there was a lot of time in those 3 years that it didn't feel like it was a great job. I had to really learn that no paycheck is worth your mental health or your soul. We have Green's fourth strategy, which is adaptation. When I lost my job, I thought my career was over, but little did I know, I had hardly tapped my potential. What I could become would become much clearer later while I was freelancing and when I got a great gig teaching at Kendall College of Art and Design. I thought my career was going to be one way when I left CMU in 2014. Now I kind of snicker to myself when people ask me my 5 to 10 year plans. I've learned to stay open-minded and always search for opportunities. There's always more out there than you think. Part of my story goes along with Green's fifth theory, which is finding your way back. When I was at that job I hated, I was looking for other career paths to take, thinking that choosing graphic design was a huge mistake. But I had my husband who reminded me that I really did love to design. It was just my job that I hated. So I had to find my way back. And here I am today, teaching, working full-time as a graphic designer and a web developer, and seeing what opportunities this world has for me. Oh, and I'm in my master's program with all of you guys. And here I am. Right now, I am at a crossroads in my career. Do I choose education or do I choose the industry? Either way, I want to be a master in graphic design and development. I'm getting my master's degree for a few reasons. First, I've always wanted to get my master's degree, but that is a story for another time. Secondly, the minimum requirement to be a full-time professor is a master's degree and then obviously like a few years in the industry. I love being a professor and I love working in higher education, and I would love to continue on this path. I think as it stands right now, I see myself moving into education full-time when I'm ready. I have a lot of professional opportunities right now that I really want to explore before I settle into my forever job. But I have my mind open for opportunities that I may find something that I love as much as I love education, but I do doubt that. I see myself being a full time professor in the next 10 to 15 years, but like I said, I'm not quite ready to settle down yet. I have a lot more to learn and discover.
She an arsonist in a pastime, and I've been burned for the last time.